These cards will help me. Hi, everybody. Hello. How are y'all doing? I'm going to try to be nice. Okay. So I'm being nice. This is nice, Patrick. Bad. He wasn't bad. I mean, tell it like a TI is. Patrick is going in the back pocket for when he needs to come out. It was a very important cycle for me. Something I haven't allowed myself to do like ever, really, besides like rare occasion. Honestly, it's something that only would really come out like if I'm ever protecting somebody. But I guess the somebody I was trying to protect was like the collective and the future and the potential of that collective, because things were like real. Things were interesting. But anyway, I'm cheating today. I'm using the Archangel Power cards. I'm using the Universe Has Your Back. We're going to pull a few maybe around the full moon to see what it's opening us up to and what we could be mindful of moving forward. Yeah. It was actually my full moon, so I hope that you're enjoying it. Because I'm a Pisces, and the full moon is in Pisces, and I'm a 10 degrees, like 2-minute Pisces, and the full moon was like less than 10.5 degrees. It was 10 degrees, but it was less than 10.5. So the sun was opposing my sun exactly. And also Mercury is opposing my Mercury exactly. My sun is 10 degrees Pisces. The sun was 10 degrees Virgo. Mercury was 24 degrees Virgo. My Mercury is 24 degrees Pisces. So hey, I claimed it. And I've been doing some work. So, you know, something good should come out of it. Hopefully. Unless people just start yelling at each other. But I'm supposed to be a little more Queen of Cupsy, so. Oh, I actually like this. So we got 4 different messages that came out, and then we'll pick up 4 different clarifiers. I'm going to give it a few shuffles and pull the top and bottom, and then we'll go through it. This is a very interesting season. There we go. Because there's a really, really, really big job fair, one of the biggest job fairs on my campus at this time of the year. And I'm actually going to be participating this year. And I have in past years, like, kind of, sort of not really participated. But I'm on the market officially. So if you know anybody, send them my contact information, tell them to hit me up. I am officially on the market, the job market. Also, I guess I'll be looking for a home as well. That'll be fun. And I'm actually like really ready. I had a little bit of leftover nervousness because this is, so when I had my darkest night, October 2018, before I decided November 2018 to really get my life together, this was one of the areas, and I've handled pretty much everything else. And the world itself kind of is the last one, so I'm excited. I don't really have as much nervousness and trepidation as I did before, because it just feels like the time has come. Right? It's like I don't have anything to really worry about. I do need to make sure that I actually do things, because if I don't, then nothing happens. But it's such an interesting time, and I do need to soften up, so I'll do my best. It did get a little spicy at the end of the last one. I just started putting, like, if you see the chili pepper in the video, just be prepared. Red hot chili peppers. And what else is going on in my world right now? Not much, I guess. Right now, it's just a time for me to really be present and to stop procrastinating. There we go. I do feel like I'm a little out of touch with the collective, if I'm being completely honest. because of the space that I've put myself in. And so, like, I don't actually know what this full moon feels like, because in my world, it just feels like it's time. I feel like I've been released from, or I've released myself from trying to carry a lot of worry or concern about just the state of the collective and whether or not we'll actually do what it is that we need to do. It's kind of sort of a once in a lifetime opportunity that we found ourselves in, where we can kind of sort of change everything that needs to be changed, low-key. And for like for the more concrete energies who need something before they just like walk out or step out, for the fools who aren't yet ready to leap, it may be especially trying because it's hard to see opportunity when it's all unknown. But rest assured that better is already here. We still have to align to it, but better is already here. So, bottom of the deck is decision. Oh my gosh, I'm so over this energy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. And the Knight of Michael. Knight of Michael is I'll read it. Knight of Michael says, your worry is unnecessary. Focus your thoughts on the outcome you desire. Release feelings of regret, guilt, or worry to your angels. Because all of that stuff will keep us repeating cycles that we honestly don't need to anymore. That's the Nine of Michael. I'm not using OBS today, so the color should be a little less funky. Emphasis on the words should and be. What was at the bottom of the deck is decision, which is number 15, which places it at the position of the devil. That's why I'm just like rolling my eyes. It says, release yourself from that which holds you back. A need to detox. Unnecessary worry based on a lack of self-confidence. Confidence in the self or confidence in our ability to move forward. Confidence in the ability of governors and government. And I feel like government as a structure isn't inherently evil, but in some ways it does sort of sometimes reflect the state of the collective. So if your government is effed up, then the place that it's governing is probably a little effed up. Right? I mean, because at least over here, like, this is who people voted for. But still, it's just like how it's like the organs and the cells in your body in relation to you and your brain, right? Well, your mind, because your mind, I'd say, is a little more conscious. Your brain is another organ in the body. But there are things within yourself that you don't even necessarily think about until it really pains you. And sometimes some people, like, they get in a little bit of pain and they don't do anything about it until it's excruciating. And then it's like, oh, well, you know, you would have come in earlier, maybe we would have been able to do something a little bit more preventative, or preventative measures would have had more success before you waited until you were in critical condition. And I mean, the state of the world right now is kind of sort of critical condition, but we're not beyond recovery if we choose it. The other card the card that was behind decision is the Magician. You can manifest the life you want. What you need will magically appear in successful beginnings. Successful beginnings doesn't talk about endings. And just because the beginning is successful doesn't mean that the ending was successful. It could be a messy ending with a successful beginning, because in that in-between moment of time is the integration of the lesson, right? And sometimes the messier the ending, the bigger the lesson, the more learning, the greater the success in the successful beginning. And that's not to say that it wasn't successful before. Here are these cards. We got Archangels Raziel and Jophiel. Jophiel me. No disrespect, no disrespect, I promise. Something about this magician though. I know it's a rainbow, but it's almost looking like a bubble. And I feel like the journey of Gaia is very interesting because she's also gone through a maturing process. And I feel like she's at that point where, and I've said it before, but I feel like she's at that point where there are things that she would prefer not to do. Like she'd prefer to be the great mom that never has to raise their voice at their kid, or sit their kid down and be like, hey, like we need to talk about this. Now I feel like Gaia did her, hey, we need to talk about this, and we weren't listening. So now she's like, okay. It's like when you have a parent and they try to warn you against doing something that you shouldn't do, but you want to do it anyway. And they know that you're going to do it anyway, and they do their due diligence and tell you not to. And then you do it, and it ends up terrible. And then you go to Mama Gaia and you're crying, and she's like, yeah. I mean, she's not just like, yeah, see, but you wish you didn't do it now, didn't you? But you wish you would have listened. She ain't going to necessarily do that. I feel like she could be more kind and compassionate. But also at the same time, that's how I've been navigating. I haven't said it yet, but the way I've been navigating my own personal journey since April is trying really hard to see the lessons that I'm supposed to see so that I don't have to get yelled at and screamed at by the universe, by spirit, right? And I feel that when you can see the lesson, you can navigate it more easily. You can navigate life a little bit more easily because you're not in resistance to the reason why everything is happening. And I guess that's another part of the formula of the environment. Because there is the state of the inside will be reflected on the outside. Everything is a reflection of you, and like the oneness and the unity and stuff like that. There is that aspect, but there is also the sort of cosmic balancing and universal law aspect of it that involves things like karma, right? That involves things like harsh lessons. And so when you don't have as much resistance to the lesson, then you don't have to encounter as much resistance in your environment. And then it helps reflect that internal peace that you create and live in. And it allows it to project and exude into your environment. Because you can be in a state of internal peace by delusion, illusion, and negligence, but then you may still feel kind of sort of beat up or overwhelmed. And then if you're not in the habit of facing whatever it is that you need to face, then it'll rock you harder, and then you go even further into the delusion. And then it becomes this cycle where it's like, now like spirit and the universe and Gaia and the celestial bodies are competing for your attention because you're not seeing what it is that they need you to see. And Saturn is back in Capricorn right now, and Pluto is in Capricorn. Saturn is actually sitting 25 degrees Capricorn, which is where Pluto was before everybody went retrograde. But I guess like all of the heavy hitters, and like Uranus is in Taurus right now. I'm actually like a Taurus rising, so that's probably why my own sense of identity has been like changed into like I've been able to transform into the person that I need to be in this moment. And the person that I should have always been, and the person that I never allowed myself to be, because I don't like confrontation, because I don't like being angry, because when I get angry, then the bull in me can't see anything else. And also I don't like being angry because it's one of those emotions that blankets everything. It's hard to perceive things or be open to or accept things when you're in that emotion, because again, it colors everything that you experience. And so earlier in the year, when I felt my Venus in Aries being activated, when I was coming into that fiery Aries energy, I was hesitant, because honestly, that's one of the reasons why I didn't open up to people for a long time, because walls. And Clarinda, hello, in the car with Mum, Dad, and Master C. Well, hello, Mum, Dad, and Master C. I am not going to attempt an Australian accent out of respect to everyone in the car. But hello and welcome. It's a lovely day here in Bristol. Wait, is Bristol in Australia? Hey Siri, where is Bristol?
Here's Bristol.
Girl, where is it? Like what country? Connecticut. Okay. Bristol is a place, right? It is in England. Okay, I thought it was in England. I was like, I'm pretty sure Bristol is in England. But then I was like, hold up, wait. Is it in Australia? But yeah, I had a lot of, like, one of the many reasons why I chose to distance myself from people so much and put up such icy and impenetrable walls for so long was because I used to have anger issues. I had an extremely short fuse, extremely short. And when my little brothers started school and we were in the same school, then I was in big brother mode. So I was a protector, like Big Brother Bear. And like y'all seen Brother Bear, that was such a good movie. That was such a good movie. I should watch Brother Bear again. If I had Disney Plus in it. Say, lovely day in Melbourne, Victoria. Lovely day in Melbourne. Lovely day in Melbourne, Victoria. Lovely day. How do I see when I do Australian? Sometimes it's kind of like I can't do it because I drag like everything back to the corners of my mouth. I drag everything. It's like when you do an Australian, then you drag everything to the corners of your mouth, and then it just see, and then it gets weird, and then it gets weird. I haven't talked to you enough, but I feel like you don't have a super thick Australian accent to me though, Clarinda. So it doesn't help me like pick it up really. Anyway, I had a short fuse, and I can be extremely protective. That part I figured out when my youngest brother started elementary school, because we always fought and we never really got along until I left for college and we didn't live in the same house. Then we got along great because I didn't have to spend any time with him. But when he started, then I found that I could be protective even of him. And it was not great energy. Okay. On the move, in the car. And so I was really, really hesitant when I noticed my fire starting to return. And, you know, I would try to subdue it as much as I could. But when events went down, and it started with Mars and Pisces and the nodal shift into Gemini and Sagittarius. And I just had a feeling that the way that the people who I came across were talking about it was not the energy to be in. And then everything else happened in America. And it was like, okay, at this point, like I can't really remain silent anymore. And so that's when I got into that. And it's like once I started, ooh, it was a little hot. I got the English accent down pat. Thank you. Thank you. So maybe I did watch, there was a show called The Almighty Johnsons, and I think they were in New Zealand, and I got a little bit of the accent, a little bit, but not too much. I go in and out sometimes. I feel like one of the best things or whenever I'm trying to imitate something like an accent or whatever, I just try to not think about it too much. Because if I naturally spoke the language, then I wouldn't be so in my head, you know? And even if it's not perfect, like I don't speak perfect English. Most people don't speak perfect English, but they're all face down. So oh, it's only two of them though. Oh, this one is face up. This is the one we already saw though. Oh, well, it's face down now. This will be bridging those two. Well, then I'll have this one to bridge these two. And then we'll take this one to bridge these two. And now I'm actually going to start reading these. Bottom of the deck is, I honor how I want to feel. I don't think I've ever seen this one before. I honor how I want to feel. Gorgeous. But anyway, I was afraid of the fire until I was kind of sort of forced into the position of the fire. And now it's time to like balance it, not be so like fiery all the time. But at the same time, if something needs to be said, it needs to be said. And we're way past that like hand-holdy, deferring to whatever type of energy. Because I mean, they say ignorance is bliss, and I want to be happy, but I ain't trying to be ignorant either. So we're finding the balance in my world. So we're going to start with the first message, and then we'll work our way through. Again, I hope we're going to try to keep this as calm and zen as possible. We're not going to try. Even if I do get a little hot, I'm going to redirect it. So I can do that. So let's start, shall we? The universe has my back. And we start with the title card. The universe has your back. But the universe is very like mother of. The universe is kind of like well, I guess it can be lots of things. That's why in our world, in our astrological system, we have 10 planets, right? Because sometimes it can be a little Saturnian or Plutonian where it is harsher lessons and it's not going to let up until you do whatever it is that you need to do. Sometimes it's going to be tough mom or tough dad or tough guardian, tough parent. Other times it may be extremely lenient and lax, and it might be more like Jupiterian or maybe even Venusian, where it's like I feel like the goals and the aims are the same, but it may be a little like not as demanding as those two, right? And then you have like these Mercury moments where it's just like constantly talking and telling you the same thing over and over. Now, if it's something that you want to do, it's amazing. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I can't believe I've gotten so many synchronicities. But it's something, if it's something that you don't want to hear, then it's like, you know, that's when you go into the delusion, and that's when the universe has to chase you. And if there's any other planet that's already after you, then they'll step in. And if, you know, Saturn, Pluto, or Uranus steps in on you, that's when things really happen. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it has your back. And the universe, God, spirit, your crew, they know what it is that you really want. And they also know your comfort zone. And just because they know your comfort zone doesn't mean they're going to keep you in it. Fun fact. But they do know that what your preferences are. And that's when, like, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, she'll say stuff like, you know, it'll all happen on your path of least resistance. So whatever you're the least resistant to is the way that you'll accept it, at the very least. And that is how we can recognize that, again, the universe knows our comfort zone. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's always working out for your benefit, if you choose to see it like that. We have the Page of Raphael, Page of Cups, and the Fool, Leap of Faith. Page of Raphael is gentle, loving, dreamy, and open-hearted. That sounds like Piscean energy to me. A new emotional situation, messages regarding relationships or social invitations, and great intuitive insights. This is a new way of, honestly, it is really a new era. If we navigate this successfully, it'll be like so new. And I feel like it's kind of sort of that like expectation versus reality moment, because I feel like there are some people that genuinely think we're already in this energy where everyone loves everyone and there's no problems, and people don't, mistreat people based off of surface observations like gender or race, or even sometimes, like sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, status of ability, and age, and everything else under the sun, right? I feel like some people really like to, or like they see the world in a way that doesn't happen. But it's almost like, since they had that perception and since they held so strong to it, they weren't able to see how things actually are. And now things are so in your face that it's almost like, if you choose to hold certain beliefs, you're doing it willingly. Either you don't care or you whatever. But this is like actually living in that world that everyone. All right, Clarinda, thanks for stopping in. Maybe, I don't know how long I'm going to be live today, and I don't know if I'm going live on the other channel, but I might find something to do. I don't know. Or I might go to sleep. I don't know, but we'll see. Have fun with the fam. And then we have Leap of Faith. Leap of Faith is Archangel Metatron. Believe in yourself, listen to your heart, and do what gives you joy. Oh, y'all see this Page of Cups followed by listen to your hearts? I think I've recently seen something that was like, oh, it was, you can't follow a broken heart. So if your heart's broken, then like, what does listening to that mean? And maybe the better question is that your heart? Because in my own personal experience, I used to have not like extreme social anxiety, but I don't like going to places where like I don't know what's going to be going on and I don't know anybody, right? For several reasons, I prefer to just stay to myself. And so sometimes, or after I started doing all the work that I did in August, last August, when school resumed, there were some opportunities that I was given. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then it was time to do it. And I was like, oh, something doesn't seem right. My intuition is telling me not to go. But then I was like, wait, is this intuition telling me not to go? Or is this anxiety and worry and doubt telling me not to go? And I feel like it's honestly like the voice that we get accustomed to listening to. And so if the universe has your back, and if you're supposed to be in this space of being in your heart and listening to and following your heart, if you're not in this space, it's going to bring you opportunities to get there. However that looks, however tough it is, however much you got to cry or break down, it's going to try to put you in the position to be like, this is the voice of your heart. This is what it sounds like, and you can trust it. And so not only might you get a suite of opportunities that will heal and awaken your heart, but then you'll also get opportunities to really listen to it and to see what it can give you and what it can lead to, even if it doesn't lead you all the way. What's bridging this to the next card is, oh, yeah. Oh, well, I already knew this. This was at the top of the deck before. Oh, what does this say? I choose love no matter what. I choose love no matter what. And I love that as a segue because we end with listening to your heart. And so you decide to choose love no matter what. Now, listening to your heart, you got to do a little bit more than just that to choose love no matter what. But that's how you start, right? And so this next card is, instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good for all. Oh, I love that. Okay. Now I guess I'm going to be talking about my journey throughout these, because this, for me, one of my greatest lessons since March was self-love. Honestly, since February. Since February, one of my greatest lessons was self-love. And really prioritizing myself as much as I prioritize the people that I care about. And I had this whole conversation with my mom in March about, like, why is it so easy to do so much for other people, but then I can't even do anything for me? And she was like, oh, I'm like that too. And then, like, a whole bunch of people are like that. And so that's what I was going to say. Because sometimes when it comes to love, self-love and love for others, there are some times when I think this is a tall order. This is honestly a very, very tall order, because if things are to change on Gaia, there are some people, certain classes of people, who may not have as much run of the game as they had in the past. If we really talk about equity and making things fair and just for everybody, then there are some people who are going to lose out because they were playing the game with, like, it's like, back in the day, they don't do it too much anymore, but back in the day when you would have infinite health cheat codes, infinite money cheat codes, and it's not that health and money were infinite in real life, but the access to health and the access to money and the lack of restriction and the lack of obstacles to overcome and the lack of negative prejudice and biases and the lack of other things made it easier for some people to achieve certain things in many, many, many different areas. And that's why, intersectionality exists and privilege is sort of a tier, right? You can be a male minority and have more privilege in some spaces than a female of the majority. And then it creates this tension between gender and, let's just say, racial or ethnic status, where one person is like, well, I have the correct gender, but then the other person is like, well, I'm of the correct race or ethnicity. And then you have the people who check all the boxes or none of the boxes, none of the other boxes, and then they just kind of, it's not that they sail through, but again, there's a lack of obstacle, or the obstacles are different. And so if we remove obstacles for everybody, then it's like some people are actually going to have to participate in the race. And it's not a race because we're not competing, but you get what I mean. It's like, what? Now all of a sudden, like, I'm not the best because, oh, it was Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And there was, I think his name was Logan. And he was like, oh, yeah, I always won in track or whatever because I paid to have all of my hurdles removed or something like that. Like, he was so affluent and he had enough money that when he ran, he didn't have any hurdles or he didn't have any obstacles. So he always won because everyone else was jumping over things, right? Exerting more effort. But if we remove everyone's hurdles, then all of a sudden it's like an actual race, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I don't have as easy of a time as I had before. And it's like, yeah, because, now everyone's on the same playing field. And that's where like this love and this praying for the highest good of all instead of for one's own personal outcome is going to be really important. And again, like these are spaces, these are boxes that we have to check. These are checkpoints that we have to meet if we are to go into the next phase, into the next step. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff conspiring to make that happen for us. And the events might line up from multiple perspectives, but the reasoning and the purpose behind the event is going to be different, right? And that's another reason why I try to find the lesson. Because then it's like because like everything is so synchronized and syncretized right now that it's like lower, darker energies don't have complete control right now, right? Divine energies agreed to this to get us to the point where we change. Less than divine energies may have agreed to this, so because fear and anger and everything else, right? And I don't even want to say anger because anger honestly isn't one of those emotions. Anger isn't a flat emotion. Like there is justified and justifiable anger. And it's anger in human history that more often than not leads to change. I mean, like, do you think that people are like giving away their privilege and power and advantage, like out of the goodness of their hearts? Like, has it ever been like that? No. That's why wars are typically bloody. And not saying that, we're necessarily in a war, but that transference of power doesn't happen naturally because those in a position, like, who would want to give that up? Who would have to compete? Who would want to have to struggle when you can go through life on easy mode? But there are moments when things have to change. And again, the events may coincide and line up. So it isn't necessarily that what's happening isn't happening, but the reason why it's happening may be different. And I've been saying that as well. But also, like I said, when you choose your perspective or when you choose what you take out of a situation, that isn't necessarily changing the situation. And I know I did literally just say like maybe half an hour ago at this point, because it's already been 38 minutes, that when we understand the lesson, we can navigate it differently. But what we're going through right now is more than just personal lessons. Things have to be rewritten. Things have to be restructured. Things have to be redone, recoded. And at this point, it isn't enough to just say like, oh, I'm good, so I have nothing to worry about. Because it's about more than just us as individuals. And I think sometimes when we think of like unity consciousness or something like that, I feel that like in our human perspective, or at least when I hear people talk about it, it usually sounds like from our human perspective as individuals, we prioritize our own experience over the experience of the all, instead of instead of taking the approach that our experience is an aspect of the all. And when our experience is an aspect of the all, then the priority is on the all. The priority is on the collective. The priority is on the environment that you live in and not just your own little bubble of reality. So that's what I'm getting between this bridge. Because with love, sometimes it is a bit of a sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice is just like not being so greedy or not needing to have things as easily accessible or readily available. Right? It's like I didn't even want that anyway. I remember now I ain't grow up on a lot of money. So it was completely wild and blew my mind when I experienced this for the first time. But the first time I experienced someone who doesn't eat leftovers, it blew my mind. Because I was hanging out with one of my buddies at work, and he was like, "Hey, like, do you want the rest of this?" And I was like, "No, you can save it for later." He was like, "No, I'll just throw it away." I said, "What? Just throw food away? Like, you ain't gonna be hungry later? Like, we don't have microwaves and refrigerators." Right? It's like, why did inventors work so hard to create refrigerators and stoves and microwaves and fire for you to just throw the food away? Like, people used to dig holes in the ground and put salt in there just to keep some meat through the winter, and you gonna throw that away? It honestly blew my mind. And it's one of those things that's just like so small that you don't really think about. And again, it's not that I growing up eat like everything. Sometimes we have leftovers and then leftovers go in the garbage because nobody ate it eventually. And it's not that I guess, we should hang on to it and throw it away later, but just that whole experience was wild to me. Cause I was like, what? I don't even remember why that came up, but I'll read this again. Instead of praying for an outcome, I pray for the highest good for all. And that's clarified by another major, two majors. Oh, snap. The majors, if we get majors here and majors here, I might do an actual flip on camera. Psych. The first card is, I think that was the two cards we got because I can't remember which one came first. I was so shocked. We got Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Zadkiel. We have the Empress and Solutions. So here is 14 where we had 15 at the bottom of the deck. So the Empress says, time to act upon your plans. Creativity is rewarded and luxurious or abundant resources. Solutions says, success that comes from objective compromise, self-control and patience, forgiving and healing energy. And so there is this energy again. I feel like because I talked about the challenge from one aspect, there could be also a challenge from the other aspect of history and the weight of history and our past experiences. And again, it kind of sort of plays into one of the criticisms that people have of cancel culture. In general, it's like, we don't really give people the opportunity to change or to prove that they have. And I think that is a valid criticism. And I think also for some people, the narratives are so strong. Like, I don't like saying, like, you got to wait for that generation of people to die out. And that hatred can always be taught. So it's not like it's necessarily going anywhere. But again, there are people who have had certain experiences. And it's almost the case of like, it feels like there are people who would reinforce division on both sides. One, potentially to maintain an image of superiority, and the other to justify or to strengthen the narrative, again, because of personal experiences. And so there could be heavy feelings on both sides. And like, I don't want to call like a race out, but another thing that's blown my mind is when I've come across people who feel justified in having strong feelings for entire groups of people because of one person. And then they want to be the same people who will turn around and say, like, not all this are like that. Not all that are like this. I'm not like that. But don't have no problem just like lumping entire groups of people into the same category because of the actions of one or two or a few. And it's like everyone feels justified in what they do. That's another thing that we're going to have to let go of. The Empress is typically a mother, and she's also about creation. So it's like Emperor energy is that creative force of intellectualism and strategy and planning. Empress energy is that creative force of, or the creative flow of inspiration, emotion, and passion. And then we have solutions here, which is a temperance energy. And so to create something, and again, like I feel like a lot of this is feeling more like collective energy rather than like in your own personal life. But again, there will be things that you within your personal life experience to create that change also within you. Right. And then maybe when we get closer to down here, it'll be about, like the abundance that you have. I mean, it already did come out. Hey, there's my buddy Nate. We've been talking quite a bit lately. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy talking to him. Oh snap! The moon is 20 degrees Pisces. It'll be in Aries within 12 hours, maybe. I don't know. But this did mention that what luxurious or abundant resources, and then again, it's an energy available to everybody. And so when there are people who say like, oh, well, I don't need to be recognized by this person or that person. I don't need to be recognized by the law because that would be me giving my power away. There is some truth in that, right? We don't need permission from anyone outside of ourselves to have or be or experience or to collect. But I don't know. I feel like I've been really trying to ground my spirituality lately and like make things make or see how things make real life sense instead of like spiritual metaphysical sense. And it does make spiritual metaphysical sense, but at the same time, as above, so below, right? And I feel like an understanding of both could be useful because if we're in a physical situation, we'll get faster results with the physical approach. The spiritual to physical like lag time is observable. And instant manifestation can be a thing for some folks. But then we also have to speak to the depth of what we're transmuting and the scale at which that's happening. And I feel like we're in a point where things kind of sort of make more physical sense, right? A lot of things are happening physically right now. And we do need to change and evolve spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. But also we need to be enacting these physical environmental changes as well. And why am I saying that? Because of this abundance that we all have the opportunity to receive. Everything is just so whatever. Let's just continue. Oh, this is a rich purple. I love this. I love this. I have chosen fear And I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. So again, this is like, so for the folks who like division, it kind of sort of stops here. For the folks who can't see past their own needs and selfish needs and desires, it stops here, right? Because to cross from this energy into this energy, not only do we gotta choose love, but we also have to care about the highest good for all and not just what's within our own personal interests, right? And again, the maintenance or maintaining that division and the people who are interested in that for whatever reason on both sides, I feel like this isn't necessarily easy for anybody. Is that my ear ringing? Is that an earring? um, that's when we don't move over here because now we're recognizing what we chose in the past. And that's, I was talking to one of my best friends. We started our journeys at the same time, and it's so amazing how we've kept up with each other. Um, and she said she's been having quite the time, and I didn't even know because I mean, I've just kind of sort of been. I mean, like I feel like every time I talk on YouTube, I'm fairly strong worded or pointed. But honestly, things have been pretty like kosher in my life. Um, I haven't had any wild experiences and nothing too drastic or different, honestly, has occurred in my life. I mean, I'm not like, it's not like I'm like, there are things that I haven't been able to do. Like, I've started to dip into my emergency travel funds a little bit. I'm hoping to not do it again. um, and I do still have my ticket because I was supposed to be in Vegas at the end of July, but that never happened. So I have a free flight or a credit to a flight, credit for a flight. But ultimately, like in my world, like maybe it's because I've done a decent enough job of continuing to grow and change and evolve and to look at things as they come up. And I'm not perfect, but I try. And I feel like a lot of times, sometimes we see some folks who hold themselves to a certain standard and it'd be easy to form a certain opinion and like we automatically lead to hypocrisy and things like that. Maybe some people get a little envious, maybe some people start to wish bad things on somebody just to see them like crack under pressure or whatever. But like I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to maintain or achieve a certain standard. I have realized that, I can do with loosening up a little bit here and there, and I don't have to be so whatever all the time. But like, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of keeping myself grounded and not needing to ignore and bypass everything happening. And so, because of that, my experience has always been pretty chill, pretty calm. It still blows my mind how that series of events a year ago eventually transpired into me having the security that I have right now, or having the security that I had. How that mishap and that mistake and that setback that I thought it was at the moment, how it then turned around and gave back to me so much to the point where even now I'm not like stressing out and freaking out about some financial things. So that's really cute. But again, we're starting to hit the end of that little buffer that I had built up, which is it's just like because it's time. The time for me to be still is no longer. The time for me personally to move is now because I've, that's just the phase that I'm in. Um, I can't remember why I got on this long tangent, but there's a point in there somewhere maybe. And so that's one of the reasons why like I feel like I honestly like I'm living in the same world that everyone else is living in, but I feel like I don't honestly have a real grasp of what a lot of people are going through because I haven't really been going through it. I chose to make the most out of everything along my journey. And I allowed myself opportunities to be hurt and to be upset and to feel, but I don't stay in that. And it's just how I've managed to rewire my brain at the same time. Yeah, because I was talking to my friend. That's why I brought that up. And one of the things that we were talking about is how a situation or a relationship at one point in your life can serve a purpose, and then you grow and you look back on that and it serves a completely different purpose. It was this, it was this. And it's not that we didn't make the choices that we were supposed to make in the past. It's not necessarily that we were wrong in the past, even if we were, but it's about how we correct for it, make up for it, what we take from it, and then how we carry ourselves from that moment or from that moment onward. Because how we carry ourselves away from a tower, even if we ever leave a tower, dictates and determines what the next step is, right? That's why the star comes after the tower. But if you never leave the tower, you never see the star. And then at a certain point, the stars go away and all you have is the moon. And when you're in that moon period, you work off of the faith that you got after the tower because you're learning that lesson, and that lesson is something that will sustain you. You have that vision from the start. Also, you've been through a hermit, you've been through strength already at that point, you've been through these other moments that will sustain you through that night until the sun rises. And it's like when the sun rises, that's when that judgment happens. Right. It's like instead of the sun rising, then you have Archangel Gabriel rising with that fiery trumpet. And it's like you see the day breaking, you're like, oh my gosh, finally some light. Oh, I can take a breather. And then this huge angel just pops up like, oh, it's judgment day. You're like, what? And it's almost like the tower starts at the tower, but it ends at the world. From tower to judgment, you're still in that evaluation period. And that's why the way we pick ourselves up and carry ourselves forward matters. Because it's like you're not out of that tower. Like you may be out of the tower, but you're not out of that phase of the journey until you close that cycle with the world card. And you can try to like take yourself out of the tower and think you got a little world right there. But if you haven't starred, moon, sunned, and judgmented, then you're still at the space of that tower. And the star being a light in the dark kind of sort of could be symbolic of the lesson that you get from that tower, the reason why it got struck down in the first place. It's not always enough to just leave. Sometimes you got to know why. And we're really in a teaching you why type of energy. 2020 double judgment. So are we losing justice or are we losing the high priestess to get that second judgment? We ain't losing either one. Okay. The next card is the moment I embrace my peace within and surrender the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. And I love that I just went on that whole tangent about everything I just went on a tangent about, including that tower to judgment, because I feel like it's clarified here. I'm really loving this. See, I can be chill. I'm just going to have to stick to these cards. Because I almost went for the Kawaii Tarot. I was like, I feel like the Kawaii Tarot would be really, really good and would keep me chill. But I was like, you know what? I can do one better because I have the Archangels. And that's one reason why I really, 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 really like these cards. Because even on the heavier energies, they still give you a positive message. And it isn't necessarily like all fluffery. Another major. What did I tell y'all? Another major and another page. Work. And guess what the major is, y'all? It's strength. It's strength. After I just mentioned strength. Strength in the page of Michael. Ooh. I just saw the strength card, didn't I? Well, let's see. Let's see what's happening in this one. In this one, they just like buddies. In this one, they just hanging out. And they're looking in the same direction. Why is this giving me low-key, this is giving me Lion King vibes, but if after Simba became the king, I haven't seen Lion King in a while. And I didn't watch the new one, the live action one. But like if after Simba became king, then he was looking out on Pride Rock and the spirit of Mufasa was there again, like in the beginning of the movie, when he was like, everything that the light touches is your kingdom. Or something like that. I'm pretty sure they had a moment after he became king, I think. Again, it's been a while since I saw it. But it's like they're just chilling. And they're both looking in the same direction. This, to me, it's giving me the energy of internal duality. And that's what this page of Michael is here for. This page of Michael almost has a Two of Swords feeling. But with this, it's like both the lion and the angel are on the same page. And so it's like both of these are you. And this page of swords it's a new way of being. It's like when you need to have a lion moment, you can have a lion moment. When you're having angel moments or lady moments, you can have an angel or lady moment. And again, this page of swords is reconciling mentally these two sides. And that's what it's like. The page of swords' sword is I mean, it's the page of Michael in this deck. It's our journey to becoming the own Mikes in our own life, like mini Mike, right? We become our own little mini Michael with our own swords of truth, where we have our own lion and our own angel. I love this. I love this. Love it. And also, the star is the energy of Aquarius, and we have the page of Michael, which is an air energy, and Aquarius is an air sign. It's also about awareness. It's about mental processing, right? The page of Michael would be the one who comes out of the tower, sees the star, and has a completely new way of looking at the world. And that's another reason why we end at the world card, right? Because after the tower, the star, the moon, the sun, and judgment, depending on how big the tower is, it does have the power to completely shape and reshape, to completely reshape the way you interact with the world, the way that you see the world, the way that we're all engaging with the world. It's like there are so many, and like one of the things that I love about this moment right now is that we are so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for, than we allow ourselves to be. If you're in the US, capable doesn't always equal dollar signs, right? Or they like to try to, like, if there was more oil, I kind of sort of wonder if humanity would like just kill the planet just until like, just to get all the money that they can get from oil, right? Because it's like, well, if we're not using oil to power this and power that, then what are we, like, that's unspent dollars. Those are dollars that we're not making. Kill it just to milk this cash cow. There's so much more that we have now than like, it's like, it's so possible to come into everything that we need to come into. And we're kind of sort of, for one reason or another, being put in a position to finally have to do it. Can't remember where I was going with that either. If y'all watch me long enough, you know I lose trains of thought all the time. My Mercury is in Pisces, retrograde in my 12th house natally. my mind be everywhere, you know. I feel like spirit has been helping me out lately though, because sometimes I'll lose my train and then I'll get it back. And that doesn't too often happen within the span of video. Usually it's a few days. It'll literally be days later and I'm like, oh, that's the word I was looking for. That's what I was talking about. Oh, Neptune, Pisces, 12th house. Archangel Ariel is strength and grace through kindness, confidence, and forgiveness. Forgiveness has also been a theme lately, or within a few of these cards, forgiveness has been a theme. Page of Michael is truthful, perceptive, analytical, and blunt. An exciting new challenge. You have what it takes to succeed. Review contracts or documents very thoroughly. And that quite literally says everything that I just said. But with that, review contracts and documents very thoroughly, again, that's like, are you sure you don't have what it is that you need to move forward? Like, are you absolutely positive? Is it worth? Is like you continuing to be in the situation that you're in worth everything that you have to lose? Is it worth the continued destruction of what's going down? Is it worth maintaining what is being maintained? Mercury is going to have air sign retrogrades next year, so no more water, thankfully. Mercury is going to actually dip back into Libra, just like it dipped into Aquarius when it went retrograde in Pisces. I don't think Mercury made it all the way back to Gemini when it retrograded in Cancer, but I'm not sure because I wasn't really paying attention. I don't follow astrology and transits as much as I used to, honestly, even though I feel like I still talk about it quite a fair bit. And like most of the time, I'm like, I'll be watching somebody video and they'll be talking about transits, and I'll just be like, that is so like last paradigm. That's like such a last paradigm interpretation of this energy. Like we're shifting into a new paradigm. Astrologically, what that also means is we're going to start seeing energies interact with each other in ways that we haven't experienced before because it was a different system, right? And astrology, and some people's astrology, not some people's, but some people's astrology, it's so based in patterns. And the last time we had this aspect, and the last time we had that aspect. And I mean, it is one of those ancient studies, and everything has been documented because that's kind of sort of how we attribute an energy to the planet in the first place, right? It's like when this planet is in this sign, typically this happens in this sector of experience. And when this planet aspects that planet in this way, then typically things happen that way. But like if we come into a higher energy, then we don't have to experience the harshness of all of the planets all the time. And I don't think it ever was for us to experience the harshness. But again, like we just weren't really at that point where I don't want to say like we were decent, but like if we're troubled children, if we're the class clown, then we're going to have a harsher experience with the teachers. We're going to get put in detention. We're going to get put out in the hall. There are going to be conversations with the parents. It's going to happen. But if you're not that child, you can have a completely different dynamic and relationship with the teacher. The primary teacher being Saturn. But anyway, I love how these are sort of working. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. Of love. The problem with this is that you first have to see your inner light. I feel like a lot of times we feel like we see our inner light, but we really don't. We really don't. And that's fine. We see. I've had such interesting experiences lately, honestly. I feel like things that I've been saying or things that I've said in a while are things I said a while ago. I'm starting to hear some people say now, and it's so interesting. And it is what it is. But it's like the light that we saw within ourselves was so heavily filtered by everything that we experienced that it wasn't a true to life. Oh, I'm gonna put a card here. Where is it? Where is it? Where? Oh, it's right here. It wasn't a true to life image. It wasn't a true to life picture. I actually do want to start using the dice again, low-key, instead of just the cards. Like the cards are a nice little whatever for when I don't have the dice. Let's see. Also, I did decide to put my other channel into. I had a video posted a few videos when I talked about it. I think I privated them. I was like, you know what? I'll leave the other channel a mystery for now. Because it honestly feels like a safe space. If I'm being completely 100% honest. I feel like I can be a little hotter over there and not feel as bad about it. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's the 5 of diamonds, nearly perfect harmony, a crystal clear night of charted stars, and triplets in the 3rd trimester. Now, I pulled this card because there was one card or one message in particular that this reminded me of, and I can't remember. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. I can't remember which card it was, but we have this one. So after we find the strength to shift and to come into the world in a new way, this energy also could be a hang up for some people because there's comfort in familiarity. Yes, that was the word, because I was talking to my girl and I was like, depression wasn't comfortable, but it was like, she was like, familiar. I was like, yes, it was familiar, not comfortable, but familiar. And there was peace in that familiarity, even if it wasn't it. And I feel like the familiarity because some people may be like, okay, like love myself and other people, got it, check, boom. Choosing different things moving forward in the future, got it, check, boom. Having the strength to throw away everything that I know and move forward into the unknown, like that's where you lose me. I need to know something. I can't go into a situation and strength, Leo energy, the sun. This is a new light. This is a new light. I'm sorry. And so there is a need this is where trust comes in. This is where trust would come in. Either trust or things are literally going to have to be so bad. Things are going to have to get so bad and so ugly that we are actually willing to throw away everything that we know, even if we're terrified of the unknown. Now, how bad is that? I don't know. For some people, for different people, it's different. But like the more you hang on to it, depending, the harder the universe is going to try to pull it away from you. And some people may actually hang on to it and write out this whole thing. But the greater majority of the collective won't. Because, I mean, otherwise we're not going to get to where we need to be. So, nearly perfect harmony, a crystal clear night of charted stars, and triplets in the 3rd trimester. Somebody's about to give birth to 3 babies. Oneness is my true nature. Oneness is my true nature. I love that. Because before we get to oneness, we got to go through all this. And I love this because it honestly feels like so many times people talk about oneness. It's like F the world, F everybody else. It's all a reflection of me. I don't have to care about anybody else. And it's like, I don't think that's how oneness works, right? I don't think your brain is like F all of the other organs in the body. I'm the only organ that matters. I drive this whole thing. If I want to use up every single ounce or milli ounce or femto ounce or pico ounce or nano ounce of oxygen in this body, I can because I'm the gosh darn brain. I'm the most important organ. Well, if your kidneys don't have any whatever that they need, if you know your other organs, I didn't take anatomy. I did take anatomy for like a day and then I dropped it because I didn't want to do the lab, and the section without the lab was already full. Like everything needs nutrients, everything needs oxygen, everything needs to have like a fair amount of liquid in it or around it, surrounding it. Every organ in the body needs what it needs to function. If the human race is a body, we can't live with just a kidney, right? What's or like a spleen? What's another organ that people can live without, right? Some people over here like spleens. It's like, dude, you vestigial. If you got removed from the body, the human would be fine, honestly. We like, you haven't been working for so long, we don't even remember what your original purpose or function was. We haven't needed you since like 5 floods ago. We've restarted the earth like 15 times. And every iteration since, you ain't been doing nothing. So, I mean, I don't want to say, see, this is, I'm not supposed to, I got to be nice. I'm bringing it back. Everything matters. Oneness doesn't negate everything else. Oneness doesn't mean that your environment doesn't matter. Oneness isn't, oh, treat me with this because I am the divine this or that, or this galactic this or that, starseed this or that, I'm better. It's like, no. Oneness, going back to this, means that you should be caring about everyone else as much as you do about yourself. You should be as invested in their happiness as much as you're invested in yours. You should want abundance for them as much as you want abundance for you, because you're one. And so if you dismiss or disregard something or someone else, and that something or someone else is a part of all that there is a part of the universe around you, then don't be surprised if you get dismissed or disregarded in some way. That's oneness. Oneness isn't the world collapsing around you to the point that you become the center of the universe. That's what oneness isn't. Right? And there are some spleens, right? There are some things that we don't necessarily need or that we can survive without. Also, there is a certain amount of sacrifice, and there is a certain balance in the grand cycle of the one. There is life, there's birth, life, death, and then we go back at the rebirth. And then there's the transition between death and life. So birth, life, death, limbo, and then rinse and repeat. Limbo isn't limbo, it's just that like in between space, you know? And one of the things, I have Native American in me. I still ain't found them. I honestly want to find the tribe. I want to be like, I am your peoples through da 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 da. I really wish I would have talked to my great grandfather before he passed, but I could barely understand him. I'm sorry. But I'm like, I don't even know if I would have understood him. I caught like every other word. And they said that he got better as he got older. I can't remember what he would have sounded like when I was younger. or when he was younger. Um, God rest their souls. I was so attached to my great grandmother, and she gave me this cologne called Gravity, and I actually found it not too long ago, but I lost it again. Every time I have that thing, I put it somewhere where I'm not going to lose it, and then I forget where it is. I'm very much that type of person. Like, I'm going to sit this here because I won't forget it if it's right here. And then cut to me 10 seconds later, like looking for it, I'm able to find it. But anyway, now we're coming into oneness. After, again, when I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. I love that into a transition of oneness. And I even like this nearly perfect harmony, a crystal clear night of charted stars, triplets in the third trimester, going into oneness. Like, that's that nearly perfect harmony. Oh, we didn't get any majors this time. Boo. No majors. You know what? I'm about to grab that magician. So we have the 5 of Raphael and the Ace of Raphael, which gives us an overall 6 of Raphael, which is the 6 of Cups energy. 6 of Cups is, y'all know that, like soulmatey, nostalgia, past, young, like childlike energy. So love that for this oneness, especially because that's like going back to the point where we were all one. When you were a part of something greater instead of something greater being a fraction of you. Sorry. Keep it calm. Come on, Archangel Power cards, help me out. I shouldn't have pulled this card. I'm putting it back. Off the table, off the table. Okay. I'm already feeling calmer. All right. I'm just playing, you can say. I'm kidding. You're already a part of this. I'm not going to cast you out like that. So the Ace of Raphael is a positive, new emotional experience. And that's what I was getting with this page of Raphael. So I love that we start with the page of Raphael and we end with the Ace. I love that. This is a whole new way of experiencing the world. And we treat each other different too. Fulfilling romantic relationships and deep and lasting spiritual insights. I thought that said lusting for a second. Like, get them energies. In my bed. Kidding. Oh goodness. This is what happens when I have too much fun. See, I need to have a healthy balance, a healthy medium. You know, a healthy medium to large doesn't hurt too much. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The 5 of Raphael says everything happens for a reason. Release regret and embrace the opportunities for happiness. Search for the silver lining. And that's the key to all of this. I feel like that's one of the biggest things to remember. Is that stuff like this doesn't happen for a reason. And it's like, yeah, karma is a thing, but we don't get punished just for the sake of being punished. I don't think it quite necessarily works like that. So let's get these final messages. Am I going to get a final message from Dicology? No, I'm not. I'm not. So I don't even know how much I'm going to use this deck on this channel. I mean, I guess if it calls for it. Like, if y'all have noticed, I've tried to stop using the SKT over here as well. I try to stick to more tame decks because that's what I like repurposing this space as. Right? And then if I really want to go deep into something, I'll do it on my other channel. So I love that. I honestly like that a lot. Like a lot. So final message from Archangel Power cards commencing now. Archangel Power cards, if there was one thing that y'all could say to humanity through my platform, so to the collective of folks who may see this, or to the world at large, or to both. I can get 2 cards? Okay, I'll get 2 cards. First card will be For us in particular, second card will be the world at large. So for the folks who would see this, what's something for them in particular that you got? What you got? What you got? What you got? Oh, I feel like multiple cards came out, but I'm only seeing that one. So that means I gotta count them. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't want to have another man holding a heart situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 40. I know I did that weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I am missing one more. Now I gotta go hunting for it. Where my phone at? So I can turn on the flashlight. Bro, I don't have time. Like, what are y'all like tarot pet peeves? One of mine is devil energy at this point because I'm so over it. I understand that it serves a purpose as a tool for the evolution of the human mind, heart, and spirit. But honestly, I'm like over it. And then whenever someone's like, oh, somebody's envious, I'm like, over it. Because I'm like, I'm not giving y'all like mental space in my actual life. I don't care over here either. Like, if you envious, go find something to. Anyway. Oh, the Fool. Oh, it's the 7. It's the 7. I was like, is that the 6 of Gabriel? So the 7 of Gabriel and the Fool. So for the collective at large, oh, there we go. Okay. It looks like another Gabriel. Oh, it's the Knight. Bottom of the deck is the 6 of Ariel. Material needs get fulfilled in magical and unexpected ways, acts of kindness, and giving or receiving with a grateful heart. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, you can see that it's pink and not orange. I love that energy. So for the overall collective, the Knight of Gabriel is confident, enthusiastic, courageous, and charismatic. Emphasis on courageous. Time to take action. Great passion for a cause. For a cause, what? Instinctively knowing just what to do. Trust your instincts. Learn to trust your instincts and also learn to follow them. Be courageous, but also still be compassionate, right? So leap of faith again is Archangel Metatron. Believe in yourself, listen to your heart, and do what gives you joy. And then the 7 of Gabriel says, stand up for what you believe in, have confidence, and claim your personal power. I love that. Both of these are saying, make a stand. What they say, if you don't stand for anything, what they say? Because I know it's like you'll fall for anything. If you don't stand for something, maybe it is just something. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's how a lot of people have been falling for a lot of stuff. Because they ain't been taking a stand. It's not me. It's not my problem. I don't care. Oh, goodness. It's just so... So interesting, right? When people say like, "Oh, your third eye is gonna open," like I'd be thinking about like seeing spirits, seeing ghosts, little ghosties, aliens, something. When people are like, "Oh, your third eye is open," like I didn't think I would start seeing the fallacies and how illogical the system is. I didn't think I'd start seeing just the stuff that don't make sense. Like low key, honestly, high key, like the fact that no one gets on corporations for outsourcing their work to other countries, but people want to be so quick to jump down somebody's throat for stealing your job. Like we all know that companies are outsourcing work to other countries because in those countries they ain't gotta pay them people a fair, like they don't have to pay those people well. They don't have to have like the work environment and the conditions can be terrible. But like no one wants to be vocal about that. No one wants to be vocal about the fact that we all know that they're outsourcing the work. No, instead we choose to direct that and just follow the program and direct it all towards immigrants or people coming for some work in this country. And it's like we can't say a single word to the companies outsourcing all their work. Not a one. But oh yeah, it's the dude from next door that's doing this. And it's like, but we all know that like I don't, that's why I just be like, what? This it don't make sense to me. Are people's hearts so offline that they're just willing to be like, oh yeah, it's not this, it has to be that. And I keep seeing that oneness card every time I cut this deck. Not every single time, but it keeps popping up. I'm like, am I not shuffling this? Hello? If I see it again, I'll show y'all. Because I'm like, I ain't never seen this card this much. But yeah, see, look, there it is again. It's following me. It's following me. It's following me. I told y'all. I keep seeing it. Oh, okay. Final message from the universe has your back, please. It's just like it's really time to wake up. And so many of the stories, if you actually think about it, don't make any sense. Like if real life was a movie, I feel like everybody in the theater, I feel like no one in the theater would be surprised. If real life was a movie, like I feel like we would know what's going on. But for some reason, we can't see it. Oh, we got moon cycles on this card. I've never seen this card either. It is very much like that other card that we did have, though. So the bottom of the deck says, I find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort. Girls, you see how I selectively just like left out the whole dis and discomfort? I find meaning and personal growth and comfort. Of course you do. But is that personal growth actual growth, or are you just sort of like bonsaiing? And that's why I love the Wild Unknown, because in the Wild Unknown, the Emperor and the Empress are trees. But if you don't allow yourself to dive into your discomfort zone, then it's like you're bonsaiing yourself. Bonsais aren't really special. They just grow in a small pot and they're heavily pruned and shaped. Like those trees and bushes could be as big as the ones outside, but they're forced to stay in that position. Like, how you gonna grow from your comfort zone? Grow where? Right? I find a deeper meaning and personal growth amid the discomfort. And look at the moon cycles again. The moon cycles. The card that came out is the one that we literally just had. I'm pretty sure because it looks the same. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. If you can't see the world through the lens of love, when you focus on your inner light, and again, like there's all of this other stuff that has to be done before we really see our inner light. So that's why everything is happening to the degree that it's happening. This is what the divine, or this more closely mirrors what the divine wants us to reach. And if you honestly think about, if you're watching me, then you've probably had a dark night of the soul or two. And if you think about your own personal dark night of the soul and how uncomfortable and how extreme or drastic it was to get you to the point where you were like, you know what? I'm going to go through this spiritual awakening because I can't continue to do whatever I was doing. Now imagine that everyone in the world has to go through the same thing. And imagine that you're the divine. So put from your own experience of your own personal dark night of the soul and tapping into the divine, like what other way is there to get an entire collective on a page of some kind of spiritual awakening? And it doesn't even necessarily have to be spiritual. It's just like to recognize what isn't actually working in their own personal lives and in the world in general, where we all need to come into our heart, where we all need to forgive ourselves and release all of the baggage that we've had. Because when we can't do that within ourselves, it makes it even more difficult to give grace to somebody else. Now, for some people, they can give grace to other people all day long, but they can't give themselves any grace. And if you're that type of person, then you might encounter a different type of lesson. But like, this is what needs to happen. How are we going to make sure that you get where you need to be? Because when we ask politely and nicely, and when we play patty cake, then, the job don't necessarily get done. But anyway, this is all I got for y'all today. I love this energy. I honestly don't like, I take that back. Part of me, I'm not going to say I like being fiery, but I am intrigued and proud and astonished. I'm astonished by how I can go there, because again, that's something that I never would have allowed myself to do because of all of the associations that I had with it in the past. I love that the 10 is still upside down. I don't know if I showed it because I am intentionally hiding the cover art for that. If you're curious, if you want your own diceology deck, then create your own DIY. Get some dice, roll them up, see what you find, see what comes out for you. All right, I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it even better. I honestly do. I may, like, I'm a Pisces, y'all, but I do have some like double Taurus, double Capricorn, and some air in my chart. I don't always show how much I actually care about people, and I do love y'all. But again, like, my sun trines my Mars. The great Shonda Rhimes astrology coach once told me that gives me a mean protective streak. And my sun is in Pisces and my Mars is in Cancer. So Mars in Cancer makes me like doubly protective. I can get more upset about the people that I care about than I do about myself. Like, if you're disrespecting me or whatever, like, I don't necessarily too much care because I pretty much remain unbothered. But when it comes to the people I care about, I could go there. And it's the protector in me, and the protector in me has been awakened. And like I said in the beginning, like I know that we can do better. I know that we need to do better. I know that things are ramping up to the point that, like, if we don't do better, I don't even want to think about what things are going to look like. I'm just going to continue to have faith in the knowing that we will do better and we will get ourselves together. I don't have to know how or when or where, but I know that not only are we capable, but that we will. And also, it's that phase of like tough love, honestly, because it's like, there's my leg. Sorry. Because it's like when you have to have an intervention. That's what this is. That's what everything is right now. It's an intervention. This is a divine intervention on a global scale. And what we're experiencing right now is, let's call them withdrawal symptoms, as we're trying to kick the habit. And hopefully we can withstand the withdrawal symptoms to make ourselves better, right? Hopefully we don't go back to whatever it is that the divine is trying to help us loose our tie and attachment to. And maybe that's why devil energy keeps popping up. It's about the ties and attachments to the systems and patterns of thought and behavior and emotions and lack thereof that keep us sort of bound and operating in our lower frequencies as a more global collective. And the divine is, it's first was the intervention and now is rehab. And in rehab, you know, in a good rehab, I guess, there's no access to whatever it is that, you know, we're in there for in the first place. So stay strong in those withdrawal periods. You know, our systems are almost clean. We're so close. I mean, we're not, but we are. I feel like we're a lot closer than we realize, because we're really smart, and a lot of the technology we already have. And if we don't, we're smart enough that if we come together, we can achieve great things. Right? That's why the Tower of Babel had to be struck down, and why, you know, difference was introduced into the world, because when we were all working together, we tried to do too great of things, some would say. And some would say in some areas, in some aspects of life, with some technologies and sciences, we are having our own little mini repeat Tower of Babel moments where we may be doing things that we shouldn't, encroaching upon the land of divinity and divine creation and stuff like that. But this ain't about all that. So again, I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to be the better version of yourself. And you don't have to be perfect. Me personally, all I'm asking folks to do is try a little bit or a lot of it. And when you feel like you can't try anymore, then try twice as hard for twice as long, because we can't afford for folks to stop trying right now. But also, we'll be fine. Yes, because I believe that we're all going to do what we need to do. I just need for y'all to believe in you.